Hey everyone, how is everyone? Welcome in. Hello on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and DLive. I have the restream up so that everyone can see, but if you're on Periscope and Facebook, sometimes the comments don't come through, so I would recommend watching on YouTube. Hey Miss Justice, hey Angel, hey Candace, how is everyone today? I've come on a little bit earlier. I put up a community post a couple of hours ago asking what time suits everyone to come for me to go live. And let me just double check what the results are so far. But I think you guys prefer a little earlier. And that actually works better for me as well. So let me just see what it says so far. Oh, Miss Justice is hurting big time. I'm sorry. I'm really exhausted today, so it's going to be a bit of a quicker stream. So, according to the community post, if you want to go and vote, you just go to my channel and go on YouTube and go to the community. It's the most current post, and so far 60% of people say 9 p.m. Eastern is a good time to go on, which is about this time. So we may do that. I'll give it a couple more hours and see if we get more votes, but we might do that. I think it's a good time. It works better for me. The later in the day it gets for me personally, the harder it is for my brain to function. So, yeah, that's that. Let me get out of that now. So today we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. First, I want to know, how is the sound? I'm going to mute for a second and see what it sounds like to me. The later in the day it gets for me personally, the harder it is to my brain to function. So, yeah. Pick up where we left off yesterday. To me. Well, we can't play it. It won't play. So that is the trailer that we've been talking about a lot. And I think that's just someone went to the trailer and actually had a little look at it. So that's that. Let me just share this out everywhere. Please share this out to your crime enthusiast friends, if possible. Let me share this on Twitter quickly. Let me tweet it out. Done. Awesome. That was easy. Okay. So let's dive back in. Oh, you shouldn't be seeing that. Whoops. Oh well. Okay. So, the last we left off, we were reading through this very interesting report. I have to alter it a little bit first, the image. So let's do a recap of what we know so far. Who's new to this case? Did you guys see last night's? Put a 1 in the chat if this is a new case for you, and put a 2 in the chat if this is not a new case for you. Obviously for me it's a 2. This isn't new for me. I've been on this case from the beginning. Oh, and now my charger won't work. There we go. So this isn't a new case for me. I've been following it since the beginning. And a quick little rundown for anyone who doesn't know, Michael Jones killed 4 children, 2 boys, Cameron 10, Preston 5, who were his stepsons, and his 2 little girls, Macaulay, she was 2 and Ayana was 1, and he killed his wife as well, Casey Jones. We've been deep diving into it. I would recommend watching part 1 yesterday or last night's live first. And a big hello to all of the replay viewers that are watching as well. Okay. I don't think people got their notifications, which is really annoying. And I'm also on an hour earlier, so let's just deep dive into this. I'm not going to be on for too long because I'm not feeling crash hot. So last we left off, we were on page 83. Oh, why did it do that? Is that better? Let me see. Okay, so we were on page 83. Let's see what part we were up to though. Hey Prepper, how are you? Van. And we saw photos of the van yesterday. And now my charger's not working again. There we go. Okay, so at approximately 2040 hours, which is 8:40 p.m., I received a phone call from Sheriff Deputy John Simpson of the Brantley County Sheriff's Office, who was making contact to inform us that he had Michael Jones in custody. He stated that his deputy responded to a traffic crash just out inside of his county on Highway 301. He stated when the deputy arrived on scene, he, Michael Jones, told that deputy that he had killed his wife and that she was in the van that had crashed into a culvert. We received several phone calls from Chief Simpson while en route to Georgia, updating us on the case as we drove. Chief Simpson reported to us that the Georgia Bureau of Investigations was now leading the investigation in Georgia and that Special Agent Will Ivey was conducting a videotaped interview with him. Along the way, we were called and told the suspect had confessed to killing his wife and storing her body at the residence at the address in Summerfield, Florida. and then in the van for several weeks. Deputy Chief Simpson relayed to us that the suspect told them he left the children back in Florida with his mother-in-law, Nikki Jones. Hey, Tracker 3, how are you? The initial reporting party. We knew this to be a lie. However, to verify, Detective Bartlett made phone contact with Nikki, who reiterated that she had not seen any of the children for weeks. This was relayed back to Deputy Chief Simpson, who I assume told Special Agent Ivy. A few minutes later, Deputy Simpson called back and advised that the now defendant Michael Jones had confessed to killing all 4 of the missing children and had hidden their bodies in the woods not far from where he crashed the van. Hey Mandy Ray, how are you doing? Hello over on D Live. Deputy Chief Simpson also advised the defendant now agreed to be transported to the area where he dumped the bodies and point them out to deputies. So he confessed pretty early on into all of this, which is very interesting. Detective Bartlett and I arrived at the crash scene at approximately 2200 hours, which is 10 p.m., at which point we made contact with law enforcement with the Brantley County Sheriff's Office. Also present was Georgia Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Jamie Carnes, who appeared to be taking photographs of the scene. There was a tow truck there, as well as other law enforcement directing traffic. The tow truck driver was attempting to pull the van out of the ditch. It appeared as though it had veered off of the road and crashed into a concrete culvert and became disabled. There was a strong odour of decomposition coming from the van. I was told that the Brantley County Sheriff's Office was having the van towed and secured as evidence in their evidence yard, and it would be secure. I'm glad that you caught me live as well, Tracker 3. Deputy Chief Simpson arrived on scene and advised one of his deputies had Michael Jones in the back of his patrol vehicle, and he, Michael, was directing him on where to go to find the bodies of the 4 children. Yeah, this dude is wacko. He is crazy. Detective Bartlett and I then followed that deputy's vehicle along with the Sheriff of Brantley County and several other patrol vehicles south on Highway 301 from the crash site to locate the wooded area where the children were placed. Hey Judy Ron. After several passes back and forth, we came to a rural dirt road in an area of planted pine trees where the caravan turned east into the pine forest area. We continued east a few hundred yards to a crossroads, and the vehicle carrying the defendant turned back south. Detective Bartlett and I exited our vehicle and were told that we were now in Charlton County. At that point, we met with the case agent, GBI Special Agent Ivy, cut palm fronds. All of law enforcement present began to fan out to search the area for the totes. It was clear that they were in the area from the smell of decomposition that was all around us in the air. All 3 totes were eventually located in the general area, separated by some distance. GBI agents then coordinated with local law enforcement to process the scene and recover the bodies. Please see each agency's report for documentation on the process of their involvement. So let's have a little look again, unfortunately, at the photos. So we have the first photo coming up onto the screen is the photo of the van that he crashed. These are crime scene photos. Hey, Truthers Luther. How are you? How is everyone? So we have the first photo of the van. The second photo coming up will be the photo of the inside of the car. As you can see, it is an absolute mess. You can see clothes. There's a baby doll hair on the right of the picture. Lots of like rope and things like that. The last images are of the suitcases. So this image is of a really little. So what we've learnt from the incident report is there is a suitcase inside of this. This is a tote that has plastic over the top, and then around it it's duct taped, and then inside is a suitcase that has I do believe, unfortunately, this possibly is the one with the bodies of Ayana and Makali, who were the two youngest. So we saw those. They were released a few days ago. The next photo is of another tote, a larger tote, and as you can see, Michael Jones did the same thing. A tote, and inside of that is a suitcase. There's plastic over the top, and he's duct taped it. And then the final photo is another tote. It looks like it's got a red top, as you can see. Again, we've got, I think it's a suitcase inside of it, and then you've got the plastic with the duct tape over the top. So this is where the kids were found, the children. Remembering Casey was found inside of the van. We could speculate as to why that's the case. We haven't learnt yet why Michael decided to not leave Casey with her children. It could be, I mean, from cases that I've seen, sometimes they do that as a last sort of FU to the mother, but we don't know. She was still in the van in a plastic tote when he crashed his car and when police arrived on scene. So maybe he was possibly dumping her somewhere else. I'm not sure whether it will be in this report. We may find out in a moment, or maybe change this. There we go, that's better. You can see all of it now. Yeah, he is a savage. He's a piece of shit. Okay. At that point, Detective Bartlett and I were told that the defendant would now be transported back to Brantley County Sheriff's Office, and we requested to conduct our own interview with him. Detective Bartlett and I responded back to that location and conducted a videotaped interview with him in the Brantley County Sheriff's Office interview room. I do believe that is the interview that was released that I can't seem to access. At approximately 0:56 hours, so 12:56 AM on September 16th, 2019, Detective Bartlett read Miranda warnings to Michael Jones with his agency-issued Miranda card. The defendant advised he understood his rights and agreed to answer questions. He then proceeded to confess to the killing of his wife and 4 children. The following summary of the interview is not meant to be an exact transcript. Please refer to the videotaped interview and Detective Bartlett's supplemental reports for more information. Yeah, I think he will get some jailhouse justice, and they're seeking the death penalty as well. So there's that for those of you that believe in the death penalty. But yeah, he's not going to have a pleasant time in prison, in jail or prison. Okay. During the interview, he advised that on July 10th, 2019, he and his wife, Casey Jones, were in a verbal altercation, and during the altercation, she grabbed a bat later described as a metal children's baseball bat and was pushing him with it. The defendant described taking the bat away from her and hitting her repeatedly on the head, killing her. Hey, faithful one, how are you? He then describes putting her body in a plastic tote and storing it in the closet. He advised he then attempted to clean everything up as best he could. He stated there was blood all over the walls. He stated all 4 children were at home at the time. Cameron Bowers 9, stepson Preston Bowers 5, stepson Makali Jones 2, and Ayana Jones 1. Oh, Prepper, I don't know whether that would be fair on him to eat your mother-in-law's cooking. The defendant then stated that sometime before school was about to start, he went into his stepson's room and pulled Cameron off the bed onto the floor. Let me scroll up for you guys. When he went into the room, his intention was to kill him. He stated, the next night he stated he decided he was going to kill Preston. He stated his hands were sore and hurt from the struggle with strangling Cameron, and it popped in his head that he had zip ties in the house. Oh my God. What a narcissist. Oh, my sore hands. My poor sore hands. He stated he grabbed a zip tie and went into the room and grabbed Preston off the bed and put the zip tie around his neck and pulled it tight. He then carried the boy into the bathroom where he already had the water running in the tub and proceeded to drown the boy in the running water. He did not have a stopper for the drain, so he shoved a rag in the drain to keep some water contained in the tub to help with the drowning. Once Preston died, he placed him in plastic garbage bags and left him in the bathroom initially. And whilst this is going on, the other children are in the home, hanging bodies that he kept in the residence for several weeks. So as you can see, yeah, he kept the children and Casey in the trailer for several weeks. Hey Zeresha, how are you? He advised during this time he had Casey's phone and he kept up the appearances so that she was alive by pretending to be her on text messages to friends and relatives. He also kept making posts on Facebook pretending to be her. So from this we can gather that he killed Casey, through his words, he killed Casey July 10th, which is a lot earlier than we suspected. Continuing with the interview, he then stated, then came the eviction notice. He advised that someone came and served an eviction notice on him, stating he had 5 days to move out of the incident location. He stated he stayed there until the 5th day and then loaded up the girls and drove to the city hall in Bellevue, Florida. So from Michael's words, we can see that he killed the 2 boys, his stepchildren, and then he still had Macaulay and Ayana, the 2 and 1-year-old, who were biologically his. He described looking over at the police department nearby, trying to get up the nerve to go turn himself in or hoping someone would arrest him. At some point, he decided to break Casey's phone, which he still had in his possession, and he threw it in a dumpster across the street from Bellevue City Hall. He stated he drove around for a while, then went home and decided to kill the girls. Hey Nada, how are you? Oh, this case is horrible. It's hard to look into. And the next thing I read is going to be really hard as well. He's talking about killing a 1 and 2-year-old. He advised he filled the bathtub and picked up Macaulay, carried her into the bathroom. All 5 murders occurred at the Summerfield address, Florida, within Marion County. He attempted to get more time from the landlord, but was told no. Sometime around Labor Day weekend, he put all of the bodies in the van and drove to Jacksonville to stay with his ex-wife, Sarah. He stated she had never been through a hurricane before and she asked that he stay with her. He advised the bodies had been stored in the van since September 1st, 2019. So when Labor Day weekend, can someone tell me when Labor Day weekend is? I'm Australian. So basically though, yeah, he went and stayed with his ex-wife, Sarah. Sarah and he and Sarah have 3 boys. And so Casey and the kids were in the van that entire time. Hey, Katrina, how are you? Okay, so he went to stay with Sarah, and when he discovered that law enforcement was looking for him, he left Jacksonville heading north. September 3rd is Labor Day. JL Lang, I'm cutting in and out. Okay, let me have a little look at my microphone settings. All right, this should fix it now. Let me know how it is now. Unfortunately, you'll hear background noise, but I'll have to play with it when I'm offline. It should be a little better now, though. Where were we up to? So he was going north. He stated... So... Okay, so... The bodies weren't in there for very long then. In the van. at first. Hey, Shelley. So they were in the house for the whole time, and then when the hurricane happened, I can't remember which hurricane it was. I can't remember the name of the hurricane. But so, and I mean, it kind of worked out perfectly as well, because he had to get out of the house anyway. So when he found out that law enforcement were looking for him, he headed north. He stated as he was passing through Charlton County, he kept seeing the turnoffs into the planted pine forests on the side of the roads. J.R. Lang, is the sound better now? He stated he pulled off one of the roads to urinate and decided that he would place the bodies there in the woods. Once he removed all of the children's bodies, which were still in the plastic totes, he left the wooded area and headed north on Highway 301, keeping his Casei in the van with him. Interesting wording. He stated as he was travelling, he looked down at his GPS and ran off the road, striking the concrete culvert with his van, disabling it. He stated that he then called 911 and waited for law enforcement to arrive. Upon the arrival of Brantley County Sheriff's Office, he surrendered to them, telling the responding deputy that he killed his wife and her body was in the car. When asked why he did not hide her body too, he said he could not bring himself to do it. That is very interesting. Oh, it could be Dorian. Hurricane Dorian. Did I miss Deidre? Did she come in? She did. Hey. I hope everyone's doing well as they can be listening to this. Okay, so that's really interesting because we chatted a little bit about the fact that he dumped the kids, but for some reason he couldn't bring himself to do that to Casei. That's very interesting. Very interesting. What do we think about that? When asked about the use of drugs or alcohol during the murders, he denied using them. He advised he had a clear head. He stated he is prescribed 2 medications, one for high blood pressure and one for depression, Wellbutrin. During the interview, he stated he placed the 2 girls in one plastic tote together. He stated the 2 boys were in separate totes, but Cameron was inside the suitcase, inside of the tote. He stated that the tote with Preston in it should still contain the zip tie that was placed around his neck. He never removed the zip tie from the body. Hey, Mel. Oh, enjoy night shift. I hope I can keep you company. When asked about the murder weapon for Casey's murder, he stated while cleaning up, he placed the bat inside plastic bags and disposed of them at a lawyer's office dumpster on Highway 441 near CR 42 in Marion County. I don't know what the CR stands for, guys. Hey, Wide Awake, how are you doing? It is very, very sick. The interview was concluded and I did not speak with Michael Jones again. This basically just states that they asked a couple more questions and then there was an arrest warrant drafted for Michael Jones. Then they went to do evidence collection. That's all sort of not too important. So this talks a little bit about Sarah Jones and how she sort of... Remember when she said she saw Casei on the Friday, but she'd actually lied about it. So that talks a little bit about that. And that actually stuffed up the timeline a little bit and caused a bit of a problem, of course, because she lied. Streaming is excellent today. I'm glad that the sound, I think you guys can hear my air conditioner now, but I hope it's not too annoying. Okay, so this is all just information that isn't really essential to read out. And then this shows you that what we talked about is the fact that then Sarah Jones calls back and says, hey, I lied, I stuffed up. Hey Cookies Mum, hey Jamie, how is everyone? We discussed all of this yesterday. This is just coming from a different that's just about her recanting and lying. Okay, so this is from Connie Leclerc, who is Michael's mother. On September 15th, 2019, at approximately 2:17 p.m, I made phone contact with Michael Jones's mother, Connie Leclerc. And I remember when this case broke and this happened, she was being absolutely hounded on Facebook. It was awful. I conducted a brief audio recorded phone interview. Mrs. Leclerc advised she had knowledge of the missing persons report and that she learned from Sarah Jones that Sarah Jones, last saw Michael and Casey on Friday, September 13th, 2019. And we know that that's false now. I learned from Leclerc that she had a text conversation with Michael Jones on Friday, September 13th, and he advised both he and Casey were in good health and they both needed new phones. We also know that that is true. That is not true. Hey, Sleuths Investigate. Thank you. According to a text conversation Connie Leclerc had with Michael Jones, he advised her the family put some of their belongings into storage before the hurricane and they were going to Kentucky to visit Casey Jones's family, which we know is a lie. Connie advised she had a conversation with Casey Jones on August 27th and, to her knowledge, Michael Jones was hospitalised. Huh, that's new. Okay, we'll have to keep that in the back of our mind. I don't remember her hearing that. Connie Leclerc expressed that she was concerned about the well-being of the family and stated she reached out to Michael Jones by text and phone call, but no contact was made. At 3:07 p.m, while on the phone with Connie Leclerc, I received a voicemail message from the phone number. The caller was Michael Jones, stating he received word that law enforcement was looking for him and the family. Michael Jones advised he was not in town and would be in town later the same day or early the following morning. We discussed this all yesterday, so I'll scroll past it a little bit. This is just from... So all of the incident reports are from all of the different law enforcement that were involved, so they all state kind of the same things, but just their observations and what happened with them. We already talked about all of this yesterday with Evidence King as we giggled about his name. So that's not anything new. And if you haven't, go back and watch yesterday's video because we deep dived into all of that as well. That's all about the cleaning and we've discussed that yesterday. Okay, so this is interesting. We'll talk about this. The following day, September 4th, Quinn arrived at the location again and Patrick... So Quinn is the property manager and Patrick is the owner of the trailer. So Quinn was cleaning the trailer and Patrick was there. Quinn advised Patrick already loaded the trash from the outside of the residence. The two began cleaning up the residence and ultimately took 2 trailer loads of trash to the Marion County landfill. Quinn advised there was nothing apparent that he identified as a crime scene or of suspicious nature. Quinn advised the east bedroom where the odour was emitting from had a greasy spot on the floor where he swept up the kitty litter. Quinn advised during the cleanup he did not observe anything consistent with there being a cat in the residence. So basically what happened is Michael Jones was given an eviction notice on the 5th day of that that he had left to vacate. He took what he wanted and then he bailed, and then Quinn came in and cleaned it up. It smelt horrible and no one reported it to the police, which is just weird. Really weird to me. But hey, that's just me. And then they talk about how forensic technician King, the king of forensics, as we call him, he came in and he noticed some things, like in one area he noticed some body fluids underneath the vinyl as well. Okay. So this is a lot of the same stuff that we covered yesterday as well. About the autopsies. Now, I did mention that on a different channel I had gone through, not the autopsies, but the cause of death that was released. And it's consistent with what Michael Jones is actually saying in this as well. I think we touched on this yesterday as well. Buccal swabs were collected from Richard Bowers. He is the ex-husband of Casey Jones and Preston and Cameron's father. Nikki Jones, who is Casey Jones's mother, and defendant Michael Jones, along with the blood spot cards I collected after the autopsies. So that was all done on the 25th. And actually, in court documents only filed the other day, they actually asked for more DNA from Michael Jones, actually. So that's interesting. I'm not sure why or what they're doing with that, but they asked for more. This is interesting. During my search of the defendant's vehicle on September 17th, I located a handwritten note under the front passenger seat. The note had Detective Bartlett's name on it, along with his phone number. The note also had "Saw Casey Friday when dropped kids off" written on it. There were other phone numbers and names written on the note. The note was collected and submitted to evidence by crime scene technician J. King. So, for me, that is very consistent with what Sarah Jones discussed. We discussed this yesterday, that she was with Michael Jones when Detective Bartlett called her, and Michael was writing down what she should say, and she said that she saw Casey Friday when the kids were dropped off, when the 3 boys were dropped off. So that's very interesting that Michael Jones actually kept that note. So this is the reporting officer is Bartlett. This is just another perspective of what happened, and it's from Detective Bartlett, and he talks about he actually called Nikki Jones up and confirmed she didn't have the kids, and that Michael confessed to the murders. He arrived at the scene of the crash and then went to the remains, so that's all the same. So I'll read a little bit of this. It says, "We learned Michael Jones placed the 2 boys, Cameron and Preston Bowers, in separate container, and the girls, Macaulay and Ayana, in the container together. And sadly, the thing that stuck out for me yesterday was that in the container with Macaulay and Ayana was her bottle, and it had her name on it." Hey, Ginger Locks. No worries. JR, I think he lost it before the eviction. I think his version of events is that, and from a little bit that we learnt yesterday, is they had a very explosive relationship, and they've fought a lot in the past. And they were having an argument, and she had a child's baseball bat in her hand, and he took it off her, and he struck her. Her cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. So the eviction notice came after that, not before the death. As we searched the area, I observed foliage that was recently knocked down and appeared as if something was dragged into the woods. While following the trail, I observed a liquid on the ground and was able to smell the odour of decomposition more strongly. Ultimately, in the foliage was approximately 23:22, so 11:22 p.m, I discovered a plastic tote. The plastic tote was wrapped in a clear plastic and grey duct tape, and unfortunately we saw the photos of those. Law enforcement officers continued to search the area. A short distance from the previously discovered tote, I located an area where the foliage was disturbed and the odour of decomposition odour was again stronger. At 23:44, so 11:44 p.m, I observed what appeared to be another tote covered by pine needles. What an idiot to think that pine needles would cover up a tote. I notified GBI, Special Agent Will Ivy, of the discovery, and at no point did I touch the totes. A short time later, Lieutenant McQuaig located another tote within a short distance of the other two. This concluded our involvement at the scene where the children's remains were disposed of by Michael Jones. So let's have a look. So this is interesting. I think I will go through this. Michael Jones agreed to speak with Lieutenant McQuaig and I during the interview. He advised me and the decedent, Casey Jones, had been married for a clinic. According to Michael Jones, he was going through a divorce with Sarah Jones, who he has children in common with. When he started dating Casey Jones, Michael Jones advised Casey Jones would constantly accuse him of cheating throughout their relationship. Hey, Renee. Michael Jones advised his ex-wife Sarah Jones was moving from Vermont to Florida, and this was a point of contention between Casey Jones and him. On July 10th, Michael Jones stated that he was at work and Casey Jones would call him and accuse him of cheating. Michael Jones advised on that day he hung up on Casey and powered off his phone, and that made things worse when he got home to the incident location in Summerfield, Florida. Casey Jones would not leave him alone and was following him throughout the house, accusing him of cheating, shining him in the face with the flashlight on her phone, and tapping him on the head with her cell phone. Michael Jones advised this escalated into a yelling match and him telling her to leave. Michael Jones stated Casey Jones picked up a baseball bat which was behind a chair in the living room and broadside him with it. Michael Jones demonstrated Casey Jones having the bat in both hands on a horizontal plane and pushing him with it. Michael Jones advised he then took the bat from her and hit her and kept hitting her. After this occurred, he wrapped Casey Jones up in some stuff and put her in a tote which he placed into the master bedroom closet. She's not disposable, God. Michael Jones advised that the children were all asleep when this incident took place. Michael Jones then described the layout of the residence. Michael Jones described the easternmost bedroom was the boys' bedroom and the west bedroom was theirs. Michael Jones advised at this point he was in it and had to keep up the persona that Casey Jones was alive. Michael Jones advised after placing Casey's body into the tote, he observed blood on the door of the master bedroom and cleaned it up a little the night of. Michael Jones stated he cleaned up more the following day. Michael Jones advised he placed the bat and items used to clean up in trash bags. Michael Jones later disposed of the items in a dumpster on Highway 441. Michael Jones described the dumpster he dropped the trash off as at a lawyer's office on the west side of 441 south of Sunset Harbour and north of Highway 42. That's really interesting that he placed it near a lawyer's office. Don't you think? That's really interesting. Michael Jones was asked if he could have walked away during the argument with Casey Jones, and he advised he could have. So he knows that he was in the wrong and that he did the wrong thing. And he showed his actions, and he was at fault. Michael Jones advised he was using the victim's phone to text and Facebook to maintain the appearance she was alive and well. Michael Jones confirmed that he was using Casey Jones's phone and facilitated the drop-off and pick-up of Cameron and Preston Bowers to their father, Richard Bowers. Michael Jones advised he dropped the boys off to Richard Bowers in the mall in Leesburg. Michael Jones advised the boys were with their father for approximately 2 weeks and returned home before the start of school. Michael Jones confirmed he picked the boys back up from their father in Leesburg again. Michael Jones advised the boys were enrolled in Fruitland Park Elementary School but never went to school. Approximately a week after school was scheduled to start, he killed the boys. And then we know about all of that. That's all stuff we already knew. And this is just the same information but told from a different perspective, a different officer. Let me see if there's anything. No, he talked about his poor hands hurting. Ugh. Michael Jones advised he lied to his ex-wife Sarah Jones, telling her that he and Casey Jones had separated. Around the time of the hurricane at the end of August, beginning of September, he loaded all the dead bodies, which he previously placed into totes, into the family van. Michael Jones acknowledged to being with Sarah Jones on September 15th when law enforcement was calling her. Michael Jones admitted to telling Sarah Jones what to say to law enforcement when she called that morning. Michael Jones advised Sarah Jones had no knowledge of the murder, nor was she involved. Michael Jones stated the relationship between he and Jones was based on co-parenting, not sexual. Michael Jones advised Sarah Jones has a boyfriend out of town. Michael Jones advised after Sarah Jones inquired further about why the sheriff's office was looking for him and the rest of his family, Michael Jones advised he decided to pretend like he was going to Marion County from Jacksonville to speak with law enforcement. Hey Bunny Bubs, how are you? According to Michael Jones, he then fled the state rather than coming to Marion County. Michael Jones advised he had no plan other than to get out of town to think. Michael Jones stated he only had $40. Michael Jones advised while travelling he saw the paths off the side of the road and decided to pull down them to urinate. We've heard all of this before, so we will skip past. Okay, so this is interesting. This is new. Michael Jones also advised part of the reason he killed the children was due to the fact they were related to Casey Jones and he was mad at her. Interesting. I asked if Michael Jones if he wanted to relay anything to the family and what he would say. He advised, "Sorries don't do shit, and Florida has the death penalty, so that's good." Ugh. Okay. Yeah, I know. That's so true, Truthless Luther. He was worried about his poor hands hurting. Well, he's going to have to worry about a lot more. Oh, on September 16th, I was tasked with making phone contact with Richard Bowers, the biological father of Cameron and Preston Bowers, who was out of the country on vacation. He was actually in the UK. Hey, Alive at Home, how are you? I notified him of the remains of the children being discovered. This notification was being made simultaneous with the notification to Nikki Jones by Detective Simpson. I advised Richard Bowers the remains would be transported to the medical examiner's office for autopsy and identification. I provided him with my contact information. It's just so sad. And imagine being out of the country as well. Like, So this is a little bit about the mattress as well. We talked about the mattress yesterday. If you haven't watched yesterday's stream, I'd recommend you do. There was a lot of information that we found out about the mattress. It was just so bizarre. It's disgusting. Okay, so this is just talking about how Sarah Jones was basically lying about the McDonald's, that she didn't see Casey that day. Okay, so confirmation, Sarah Jones advised that she has 3 children in common with Michael Jones. I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Oh, interesting. Sarah advised that when Michael returned from his house on September 10th, he stated that his landlord told him his trailer had been condemned because the trailer had been set up illegally for safety reasons. Well, that's false. He was being evicted. He loved to lie. Okay, so that's not anything new. Okay, so this is new. On September 18th, I met with victims Cameron and Preston Bowers' father, Richard Bowers, and his girlfriend, Anna Cortez, at the Marion County Sheriff's Office in order to discuss specific times and dates he last saw his children or his ex-wife, victim Casey Jones. I initially began speaking with Mr. Bowers and Miss Cortez, I don't know, in a video recorded interview, but later had to move from the interview room to another area of Marion County Sheriff's Office. During my conversations with Mr. Bowers, I learned he and victim Casey Jones were married, and during their marriage, she was unfaithful to him with defendant Michael Jones, ultimately causing their divorce. Mr. Bowers advised he had not visited with his boys for approximately a year due to him moving out of Florida to Georgia. According to Mr. Bowers, the terms of the child custody did not allow him to take the children out of state to live. Mr. Bowers was having terms of his child custody changed through the courts. Mr. Bowers was currently allowed to have custody of the boys in Georgia. Mr. Bowers advised on June 6, 2019, he had an extensive text conversation with victim Casey Jones about the dates when he was going to pick up the boys for their scheduled summer visitation. Mr. Bowers read me the content of this lengthy conversation. Mr. Bowers advised based on the content of the text message he felt it was her texting on June 6, 2019. That's so sad because the thing is that those none of them needed to be killed or deserved to be killed, but Cameron and Preston's father could have just taken them. Like, it's just awful. Okay, so this is interesting because this could possibly be Michael Jones texting Mr. Bowers. Mr. Bowers advised the text messages after that were limited between he and victim Casey Jones. He advised he received a text message from victim Casey Jones' phone on July 16th, asking him if he was going to still want the boys. Mr. Bowers replied yes, he was going to pick them up. Mr. Bowers advised he received a text message from Casey Jones' phone again, and they scheduled for him to pick up the boys on July 27th at the Leesburg Mall. So this is probably Michael Jones texting through Casey's phone. Yes, true evil is all around. The text conversation discussed how defendant Michael Jones was going to be dropping off the boys alone due to Casey being in hospital for back surgery. Mr. Bowers advised this was abnormal. However, Casey Jones had a previous back surgery. He did not think much of it at the time. According to Mr. Bowers, he picked up the children on July 27th and spoke with Michael Jones. During their conversation, Michael Jones apologised to Mr. Bowers for previous interactions. Interesting. So the thing is that the thing that's so infuriating is he had the kids. He could have just kept the kids. Michael didn't need to take the kids back. It's just the boys come back and then they're killed. It's just disgusting. And so then it just talks about how it talks about the boys' birthdays and how Casey didn't mention anything about it, which we discussed yesterday. Michael Jones talked about how he disciplined the children, and he said that he would only spank them with his hand and no other weapon. I asked Michael Jones why he committed the murders of the children, and he stated, "I don't know, just everything mounted up and it seemed like the way out." I asked Michael Jones why did he not leave the children where they were safe, and he stated, "I wish I had the answer for you, detective." So as we've discussed, the cause of death was blunt force trauma for Casey Jones. So what is this? Crime scene processing report. So I'm just going to bullet point these. I'm not going to read it all out. I'll just pick up the important points. The home was hot in temperature and a strong odour could be smelt. I walked towards the spare bedroom and smelled a strong odour coming from the room. That section of flooring contained a dark coloured dry substance with sand-like residue. A section of the bathroom flooring located beside the bathroom. A section of the bedroom flooring located close beside the bathroom revealed an unknown red-coloured substance. That substance was also seen inside on the bathroom floor. What was the cause of death for the kids? Let me go through the notes quickly. I think for one couldn't be determined. Let me go through the court notes that I have. Michael Jones. Oh, I think it's in the... No. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so they're all ruled as homicidal violence. With Cameron, who's the 10-year-old, it doesn't mention how, but we know that it was strangulation. With Preston, homicidal violence by ligature strangulation, which is consistent with what he said about the zip ties. With Macaulay Jones, the 2-year-old, homicidal violence, and it doesn't mention the how, but we know that it was drowning, according to Michael Jones. And the same goes for Ayana Jones, homicidal violence, but doesn't discuss the actual cause. So I hope that was a little helpful. Okay. The bathtub appeared dirty. There were pink coloured stains inside the bathtub and surrounding crevices. And unfortunately 3 of the children actually died in the bathtub. Suspected blood on northeast corner floor of bedroom window. Suspected blood spatter in centre of master bedroom flooring near bathroom, floor air vent on flooring near the east side wall, which is consistent with the blunt force trauma that they discussed. Thank you, Truthless Luther. Spare bedroom, there's a lot of suspected blood, and they've taken a lot of swabs of those. I'm not going to go through all of those. Day 2 scene processing. They took lots of photos. Spare bedroom, marked at easel 3, appeared to have dead maggots surrounding the outside of the bathtub and flooring. Ugh. Hey, Bella Blue, how are you? You better not claim PTSD. So basically the house, there was still a lot of evidence in the house, even though he attempted to clean it up and so did someone else, not knowing that it was a crime scene. But I don't understand how you could not know that it was a crime scene. I'm not about victim blaming at all, but I don't understand how you could not know that that was a crime scene. So these are things that came from the vehicle, zip ties. There was a comforter that had bodily fluids on it. A cracked sterile 50-gallon tote and top. I think that's where Casey Jones was located. Her body was located. And there was a fingernail as well that was put through with evidence. Remembering that when Michael Jones actually crashed his car, there was a lot of empty beer cans, and so they've actually put those into evidence, as they should. And then there was a lot of cotton swabs done for DNA, as you would. Okay, and then there's a whole bunch of info on the evidence collected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this in the All Things True Crime Facebook group. So if you're interested in reading this for yourself, I will put it in the group. If you are not a part of the group, I would strongly recommend that you join, because we talk about, as you would imagine, all things true crime, and we are following this case in the group as well as several others, and we basically just post like true crime news stories every day, and we discuss things, and we deep dive into cases behind the scenes in that group as well. So that was just all the evidence. You can go through that in your own time if you want. I'm not going to read all of that out. My throat would not appreciate that. Okay, so that's all just the same sort of information. They put blue folding chair and tent in blue case into crime scene evidence. The van airbags were deployed. Items scattered throughout the vehicle. We saw that through the photos that we saw. Well, I guess I could say hi to Bella as well. Actually, do you know what I was going to do? I was going to start putting a photo of Bella on my template. You know how I've got... Oh, where's my microphone? You can't see my little microphone. There it is. And where's my other one too? All of my little things are gone. There we go. I was actually thinking about putting a little photo of Bella on my template. I might do that. Okay, where's my thingy? Oh, that's why I got rid of that. That makes sense. Get rid of that now. Okay. Okay, so that's just all about evidence. Okay, this talks about helping Nikki Jones with grief counselling. I think that's amazing. It was offered by the Victims Compensation Fund. I think that's good, because I can't imagine. So this just talks about the house again from a different perspective. Evidence from the victims collected during the autopsy. We actually discussed this yesterday, all of this, what came with it, and I thought it was very interesting that there was a dog leash in with Cameron's body. I didn't understand what that was about. We went through all of that yesterday. And so this is just a list of all of the evidence that they collected. And we actually discussed a lot of this yesterday as well. Yep. Sarah advised that once they separated, her and Michael, she moved back to Vermont and she took their kids with her. She advised they did not see Michael Jones again until the summer of 2017. She advised she met Michael and Casey in North Carolina. She advised after this they remained in contact via text messaging until April of 2018. She advised that there was a conversation in April of 2018 that Michael wanted to come to Vermont to get away and asked her to buy him a bus ticket. Really, dude? Really? Michael alluded to the fact that he was not happy with Casey but did not go into detail. Michael later texted her that he was sorry and he should never have asked her that. Sarah advised after this she and Michael had very little contact and mostly spoke with Casey to coordinate visitation with the children. Sarah advised she told Michael and Casey that she would be moving back to Florida and they seemed excited. Sarah advised she flew her 3 children down on June 12th, 2019 and met Michael and Casey at the airport in Orlando. She then advised she picked the kids up on 23rd of June. Sarah advised after this Michael and Casey took the kids on the weekends and she would meet Casey to drop off the children. Sarah advised in the middle of July she spoke with Michael and he told her that he and Casey had separated. He told her the final straw was that Casey. After the separation, she talked to Michael more often and he had their kids from about the 29th of July until August 11th. She advised the kids were with Michael at his residence in Summerfield. Just soak that in. Those 3 boys were at that residence with the bodies of 5 people. I asked if she knew if Casey or the kids were at the house and she advised her kids told her there was no one at the house. Sarah advised they came back to Jacksonville on August 11th and she asked Michael to come help with their daughter because she was sick on August 14th. She advised Michael had Preston, Ayanna and McCarley with him when he came up. So Cameron wasn't there. Sarah advised Michael took redacted Preston, Ayanna and McCarley back to Summerfield and then came back to Jacksonville on the 18th of August. Michael came back to Jacksonville with Preston, Ayanna and McCarley on August 23rd. I confirmed that Cameron was not with him and she advised she last saw Cameron sometime in July. She advised he stayed the weekend with her and his 3 children as well as their children. She advised she left Michael home with all of the kids while she worked that weekend. Sarah advised that Michael left the following Monday, August 26th, and he said he was taking the kids, Preston, Ayanna and McCarley, back, and she assumed it was to Casey. Sarah advised that this was the last time she saw Preston, Ayana, and Macaulay. Yes, Renee, Sarah is the ex-wife, and they have 3 boys together, her and Michael. Sarah advised the following week there was a hurricane and Michael told her that he was sleeping in the van because he did not have electricity. She offered for Michael to come up there and help with the kids, which he did the weekend of Labor Day. She advised he stayed with her until September 10th, which was when he said he was going to the villages to do work. Sarah advised Michael called her later and told her there was an issue with the landlord and he was packing to move out of his house. Sarah advised Michael told her he put some items in storage and packed the rest of the items in his van, which was when she offered for him to come stay with her. Sarah advised he came back later the afternoon of September 10th. Sarah advised Michael was at her house until Sunday, September 15th, which was when he left, and I asked why he left. Sarah explained she received a voicemail from Detective Bartlett. Sarah advised she asked Michael why the sheriff's office was calling her, and Michael told her it was probably about his trailer he'd been living in. She then advised Michael told her the Friday before that Casei had been trying to serve him papers. She advised she really did not know what was going on, but Michael told her to tell detectives that she saw Casei and the kids on Friday, September 13th. So Michael's asking her to lie to police for him. They went about their day and Michael played with the kids while she went shopping. She advised that she later felt guilty for lying about seeing Casei and the kids. And she called them and told them that. Sarah advised she returned to the house from Target and told Michael he needed to deal with whatever was going on. Michael advised her around 3 p.m. that he would go to the sheriff's office to deal with everything. He told the kids bye and left, which was the last time she saw Michael. I then asked Sarah about the bat that she had contacted Detective Bartlett about. She advised Michael brought it over several weeks ago and gave it to one of the children. She advised the bat had been seen under the bed since that child had got it. She did not think much about the bat until she saw a post on Facebook that Casei had been beaten by with a bat. I asked if anything had seemed out of the normal with Michael, and she advised not really. She advised he was drinking a lot, but he had always been a heavy drinker. She believed his stress was from him separating, and the lack of sleep Michael complained about was over finances and separation. Sarah advised that Michael played with the kids and seemed mostly normal. Sarah further informed me that there was no history of physical violence, but Michael did have moments of temper. She advised Michael had never been physically abusive with her or their children. She did not believe Michael was capable of hurting the children. This part gets to me the most. I asked Sarah if there was anything else we had not spoken about that would be helpful. Sarah informed me that she had later asked one of her children if Michael's car had smelled bad, and he said yes. She informed me that she never looked in Michael's van whilst he was there. And apparently one of the boys said that he thought there was a dead cat nearby because there were lots of cats in the area and it smelt really bad, which is just so sad. They placed the bat that was at Sarah's house into evidence. And so this is the last of it. This is all of the people that have been involved. So that's all of the information that we have so far about the case. It's a lot of information. It really is. And as painful as it can be to go through all of that, I think we got a lot of information out of that, and we did learn a lot, especially for the future. And with those interviews, that the GBI interview, the video that was released, so much of the information was redacted and you couldn't really understand what was being said. Hey Morgan, how are you? But now we sort of know a little bit more because of the fact that we read that mammoth incident report, 142 pages. I didn't read all of it, of course, with you guys, but I read a lot of it. My throat is killing me. So that's the latest on the Michael Jones case. The information, the evidence was released. We saw the photos. I'll pop one of the photos back up of the van. So I will update you guys when more information comes out. I'm not sure when the next court date is. I think I heard it was in January. But they're still very early into the case. They're still collecting evidence. I'll have a little look and see. If anyone finds out any information about this case, please post it in the group All Things True Crime over on Facebook. If you're looking for the link is in the description. There's all different types of links in the description for anything you're interested in. If you're interested in the Respectful Stalker mug that we have, you can have a look at that. You can also have a look. You can also contact me. My email's in the description as well. I will be back on tomorrow with a new case that we're diving into. And as of tomorrow, my plan of action with this channel is I will be coming live every second day or every other day. So for me, tomorrow is Monday, Sunday for the Americans. And so then after that, I'll be live next Wednesday for me, Tuesday for Americans. So every other day. And that gives me a little break to rest and research. And if there are any cases that you're interested in us covering, please shoot me an email and let me know. But I'm going to go and have a little rest now. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you can give the video a like. And if you haven't, please subscribe and click on the bell. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.